Welcome back to another episode of the Coast Boys podcast. I'm Gabe, and today I'm joined here with Izzy and our good friend Blake. Blake, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, before we start off, I just want to say thank you for everyone who continues to subscribe to our podcast. If you've never already done so, please do us a huge favor and subscribe. We have around 165 subscribers right now, and our next goal is to hit 200. So please do us a huge favor and hit that button at the bottom. So Blake, before we begin, can you give people a little background about yourself, who you are, what you do?
So I am from Australia. I went to school with Izzy for about 2.5 years, he was one of the biggest clowns I've ever met in my entire life. So he's had a big impact on me ever since I left America. So I now live in Australia. I started my own clothing business whilst I was in the US. I got bored one day in class, sitting there probably listening to some guy talk about volcanoes or something that we don't really learn about in Australia. And I just started my own business. It sort of hasn't taken off as well as I like it to. But, now back in Australia, trying to grow my business. And, yeah, thanks for having me here, guys.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so awesome. Like you alluded to, we played in San Bern. You were actually the first or the second, you and Caesar were the first people I met when I went down there. So I was looking for Tilo, and he sends me over to you guys' house, to the soccer house. And, I just walk in, and you guys are eating Little Caesar's pizza right there. Literally no furniture in the house, and you guys are just sitting there chilling. And I'm just the new guy, doesn't know anyone. They're like, oh, you're the recruit from San Francisco. They're like, no, the first 2 hours, no, that's not me. I'm not from San Francisco. Dude, coach told us someone from San Francisco was going to come down. And they were just waiting for the kid from San Francisco for 2 hours. And finally, they're like, oh, dude, Izzy, I think that's you. It's dude, that's literally 4 hours away from where I'm from, but whatever.
Close enough, right?
Yeah, man. So thank you for coming on. We have a lot of questions and a lot of stuff that we're kind of going to take off with in the future. We plan to do in the future. You're kind of have already gone through that process. So we're really excited to kind of pick your brain about that. We'll get into more of that later towards the end. But right now, why don't you just talk about the beginning? Because like you said, you came over to the States to play. For those that don't know, you were playing soccer at San Bernardino with me. But before that, growing up, what was it like in Australia? We want to get into the main differences, the pros and cons of studying abroad and everything. But at the beginning, how did you get towards coming into the U.S.? What was life growing up like in Australia?
Well, it's probably pretty similar to the way you guys grow up. So you go through primary school, you go through high school, then you go off to college, right? Or you go off to university. My childhood was pretty much I played sports since I was 4 years old. So I've been around the football pitch since I was 5. I played football till I was 24 years old. So I've been playing it forever. And that whole process, it was every Sunday you go kick a ball, you play for the 2 hours and you go home, you go back to school. But I had heaps of options when I was a kid. I played cricket, I played rugby, I played football. It wasn't I just stuck to one sport. It was more I got heaps of opportunity just to pretty much try and excel in what I wanted to do. Did you have that opportunity or?
A little different. Gabe, what was your experience?
I said, do you have any siblings that you were going to grow up playing with, or is it just mainly your friends?
It was my sister, but she couldn't kick a football to save her life. She tried just to try and fit in, but I mean she just wanted to try and hang around me, but she couldn't play. So it was pretty much just me by myself, and pretty much me and my dad. Me and my dad I'd always want to kick ball. Every day, every time I had a second, I want to go to the park and kick ball. I wanted to do something like that. And he just got so sick of it because I was always wanting to play. But I wasn't the fittest kid. I was a little bit chunky as a kid. So trying to play, I was never that first selected kid. I was never that kid that was going to be good. I wasn't going to go places because I was a little bit chunky. And I heard that pretty much my whole life. But it still happened. I still enjoyed it. I wouldn't change anything that happens. I tried my best, but I was never the fittest kid.
Mm-hmm. So growing up, did you play in academies or clubs, or what was that like?
I got my first academy gig, my first representative gig as we have here, at 18. So up until that, I was just playing local. So I was just playing my local team. I was playing first grade and second grade at 16, 15, 16. But here, it's a little bit different. You've got that local Sunday league. Then you've got like a representative football. We've got about 3 tiers of it, like MPL1, MPL2, MPL3. Then you've got like the A-League, which is like our MLS equivalent. So like I got my first gig, 18 playing under 20s in like MPL2. So that was like the only real, that was like my first stepping stone. And it was always like, once you sort of got into that representative program, you're sort of like in, like you could sort of go anywhere from that. But that was like, I was old. I was like 19, 18, 19 at that stage.
So were you always like, were you a huge academic kid? Like, were you invested in school? No?
No, Jack, bro. I hated school so much. Like, that's like when I was in year 10, this new school opened up. It was called the International Football School. And that was purely based on like, you play football for 2 hours and then you like go to school for 4 hours. So it's pretty much like at college, right? Like we have training and then you do classes, yeah.
What the heck? That's crazy. Well, so the plan was it to groom these kids to go play pro or go play somewhere else, or?
Yeah, pretty much. So the whole process was like they had like heaps of coaches from like my coach was the former women's. She played like women's nationally, like for the Matildas, which is like our women's national team. She was one of my coaches. So what it was is like to get all these kids in there at a young age and like try and groom them up to be the next level stars. But obviously for me, I'm 18 at that stage, so I'm not going to be a next level star. But yeah, that was pretty much the whole process of it.
Interesting. And so you said academics, you were really big on it. So what kind of aspirations did you have growing up? Like, what did you want to be, or who did you want to become as you got older?
I always wanted to play football, bro. I always wanted to be the next like professional footballer. But I didn't put as much effort into it until I was like got to that 16, 17-year-old stage. And like by then it's like sort of too late to try and become a professional footballer.
Yeah. There was no plan B. There was no other career path that you wanted to follow?
I mean, not really, bro. Looking at it now, I probably should have had something like that. Like there should have been a backup plan of like, what else would you want to do if it doesn't happen? Like if you don't become a footballer, which obviously I'm in that stage now where I'm like, okay, I'm looking at business side of things, like marketing. I've always loved business side of things, like always been interested in that kind of stuff. But I never really had that idea of it when I was like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah. And obviously when the time comes, it's sometimes too late. You know what I'm saying? Hindsight's 20/20. Yeah. Like, man, I should have planned out ahead of time, but a lot of times it's not the case.
And were your parents super supportive of you only wanting to pursue soccer or football as a career path?
My mum's always been like, go to school, like get a degree, go to school, make sure you have that option, like that backup plan to if it doesn't happen. Like even when like she loved the idea of me going over to the States because I was both playing and studying. So it was like, obviously you're doing both at the same time. So she couldn't really be mad about it. But there was at some point she was like, we should focus more on school. Cause like when I moved to the other school, like the academy that I went to, I redid a year. So I redid year 10 because that school only started from year 10. So I was like 17 in year 10. I was like the oldest person in that school. So it was like, I did it for the opportunity to try and improve and try and get like, have the options to like progress to a different level. Like the only way I got to America was through that school.
Did that school have connections with colleges over here?
Not like connections directly, but one of my coaches knew Dylan, like the guy who from Wagner Wolf who took me over to the States.
So, okay, you said that your mom wasn't upset because you came over here to study and play. Is there nothing like the NCAA in Australia? Is there a place where you can study university and play at the same time? Or is it like club, maybe semi-pro that's disconnected from the university?
It'd all be disconnected. So everyone who's at uni you're all playing for a different, like a disconnection. Like you're playing for a different club. You're playing for someone where you can get paid to play. Like if you're in the top level, like the MPL1, so not even the top level in Australia, but like the MPL1, you can get like $1,300 a game, $1,300 a week if you're like the best. And you're still working while studying. Like,
yeah. Damn, that's lit.
Sounds pretty good to me. God damn. Yeah. Okay, and so then you wanted to go to the States. Is that something you were also open to doing because you wanted to continue playing soccer at the same time? You're kind of like helping your mom out. All right, listen, I'm going to school too, and I'm still playing soccer. So it's kind of best of both worlds.
Yeah, when does that, before you answer, Blake, when does that kind of come into your head, like, I want to go to the States? Because that's a big sacrifice, you know what I'm saying? That's a huge commitment to just go to another country and study and play, you know? Because you're paying out of state, you're paying, what is it? International tuition.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
I
cheap.
didn't see it as a sacrifice, you know what I mean? I saw it as an opportunity. I saw it as an opportunity to do something different, like to have a life outside of the life that I had at that stage. And like, that's pretty much what it was for me. Like, obviously my dad was a massive support whilst I was over there. Like, he paid pretty much all of my tuition fees and my living expenses, like everything. He covered most of that. And he's still letting me know about it now that he paid it. So, I mean, like, but it was like, you go over there with, I also went over there with no knowledge. So like, I had Dylan was telling me like, you can go to a Santa Barbara City College, like it's going to be good. But to me, I'm like, I don't want to go to a city college. Like, I want to go to a D2 or D1 school. Like, what's the point of going to a city college? Now I look back at it, I'm like, I probably done my 2 years at the city college and then transferred. But like, it's those things, like hindsight's fantastic about that, bro. Like, you learn so much when you're over there, but like, back then I had no idea. So it was like, I was sort of a little bit naive about wanting to go to the best place instead of what was the best for me.
And so why do you think that now in hindsight, you wish you would have done the 2 years at a city college? Why do you say that now?
I mean, look at like a lot of people I played with did the 2 years at the city college. Like, they did the 2 years at a different environment. Like, because you're at a city college doesn't mean you're a bad footballer. In my head, when I went over there, I'm like, only terrible footballers go to city colleges, but it's like, that's not the truth. Like, it's got to do with grades. It's got to do with like, obviously academics, money. Like, there's so many underlying factors that I was unaware of when I transferred there. That was just like, I could have done it so much differently than the way that I did it.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get hooked up with San Bernardino? Okay, let me just ask. So when you're in Australia, you started thinking, okay, I want to go to the States and I want to play college. What is like the first step for you to make that process to go study abroad? Like, do you have to link up? Or okay, so what's up?
So you need that like recruitment agency, like Dylan. So Dylan was friends with my coach, Andre Gumprecht. Like, they were friends. And he came to him and he had a meeting about like, we have a prospect that wants to go over. But then like, there's a fee. You then have to make like a video that you can send out to coaches, show to coaches. It sort of shows your strengths and your weaknesses. But it's difficult, bro, because unlike you, where you get a trial, right? You can roll in, you can get a trial. For me to get a trial was a little bit difficult. I just got thrown in and I just did it. Like, a lot of the good players went to D1. They get flown over from Australia. They get the trial. They get like all that kind of stuff. They get the tour of the campus. I just pretty much rocked up 2017 or in July and went, all right, this is my new school. So it was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. So San Bernardino was your only option?
Well, Dylan was there at the time. So like, it was either, I think he said it was either that or like, I think it was the Santa Barbara City College where he was going to go coach. But I was just sort of under the impression that I wanted to go to a D2 school. So.
And what were your first impressions of Santa Barbara, or UC
San Bernardino?
San Bernardino,
what was your expectations versus the reality? Like, what are you thinking before going there? And then you get there. I'm sure it was vastly different.
Vastly different because, I don't know, the facilities are completely different to what we have here. Like, we don't have training rooms. We don't have all that kind of stuff at a college. Like, you don't get to do both. So my expectations are probably a little bit higher than what I received. Like, CSUSB is a great school, bro. The campus is nice. Everything's nice about it. But probably the athletic facilities weren't as good as I thought they were going to be. Like, obviously, you look at it, you look at photos of colleges, you look at photos with like colleges with a little bit more money and like, but then I was a little bit delusional to where I was going, I think. Like, I expected it to be like UNLV. You know how he rolled up to UNLV?
Dude, this place is so nice. Such a nice campus.
That's sort of what I expected, bro.
Yeah, man. That's crazy because when I rolled up, I didn't even I didn't even know what to expect. You know, like I feel like they sell you so much on the arena, like like the stuff that you're not even gonna be using. You know. But yeah, I 100% agree with that. The fields are nice. Like whatever we were using, I feel like the fields are nice.
Main field was great. The athletic training room was fantastic. The gym facilities were like nothing that we have here. Like I still haven't been in. Like the tent was probably one of the best lifting facilities I've ever been in, and it was just a tent.
Yeah.
But I think it's the coaches they have there as well. Like it's not just the facilities. The coaches make it so much better than like it looks. Like it was a great experience. It's still a good school, bro. Like can't say anything bad about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how was your overall experience being there?
First year was a little bit different. Took me a year to get cleared by the NCAA.
Why is that? Talk about that.
Honestly, man, I couldn't tell you. Like, I don't know whether it was a document error on my behalf. It was just they just couldn't understand the transcripts. Like the transcripts just couldn't get cleared. Like I was there. I got there early just to make sure. I got there in spring 2017. Spring gave me enough time to get cleared and then be able to play for the upcoming season. But that just didn't happen. Like it took me 9 months to get cleared. And by the time I was cleared, like my mindset had completely changed. I couldn't train with the team. I couldn't do anything team related because then it puts me in jeopardy. So I was sort of just by myself for a big part of it. And like, I didn't do anything about it. Like I sort of just let it get the better of me. Like you're away from your family, you're away from everyone. And it's sort of like, I can't play football. Now what do I do? Like, what else can I do? And yeah, you can train by yourself for 3 months, but the 4th month, the 5th month, the 6th month, like you're still by yourself. So that was a little bit difficult for me. Like I came home after the first 3 months just because I wanted to see my family and then went back over. But it was a big decision. I could have probably left after those first 4 or 5 months. Like I could have just gone, all right, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to go home. But I tried to sort of stick through it, but it probably wasn't the best situation for me. Obviously, after that year of not being able to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I was kind of not in the same boat, but I do understand with the whole not being able to get cleared. Obviously, mine was for not getting it done in the classroom, you know, and they kind of already admitted me to the school, kind of like counting on me to pass that class, and I couldn't pass it. But I was like in the same boat. The compliance officer was. I don't know, like you don't want to talk bad about anyone, but it just seemed like there was no urgency there from that office, and it was like so frustrating. And I didn't learn that until I went to Sonoma State, until I transferred from San Bernardino to Sonoma State, and it's all human error. When they're reading the transcripts, there's no database that they're plugging your classes into that convert your credits over. Like it's just people looking at that piece of paper and thinking, yeah, this is good enough to cover this business. Yeah. 305 class, when over there it was business 206. So it's just like they read the description and they think, yeah, this is good enough, this isn't good enough, you're gonna have to retake this course. And bro, when I went to Sonoma, there was like 5 or 6 courses that they didn't account for that I took in San Bernardino, and I had to go to the head of the business department and be like, hey, look, these are the descriptions of the classes that I took, here's proof, I passed them, like I need you to sign off them, because at this rate I'm gonna be at this school for another 2-3 years, and I'm supposed to be done next year. Yeah. So I 100% understand, because it's so frustrating, bro, especially when you're there to do that and you can't get cleared to do what you want to do.
But it wasn't even like my fault, bro. Like it's just that, as you said, this was coming from a high school to like college. I didn't have any classes that I needed like prereqs for. It was just get me cleared, like get me into school, and they just couldn't do it. Like they couldn't clear me.
Yeah. So during that period when it's kind of like a low point, because obviously you can't train, you're not allowed to train, you're not allowed to be with the team. There's like a group of guys that aren't cleared yet, and you guys do captain's practices, and the team goes away on trips and they have fun and they post pictures and you hear about it on the team group chat, but you're not there to celebrate with them. If they lose, you're not there to sulk with them, you know? So I don't know if you feel this, because this first year I had a red shirt, we were kind of always training together. Did you ever feel like you were not part of the group, or like outside looking in when you like during that time, bro. Like, and how did you deal with it? All the time,
I thought I was just like on the outside as well, bro. I was one of the 3 white people in that team. Like, everyone spoke Spanish. I was a minority, and being on the outside again made it even like harder for me because I was there to play and I never played. Like I literally never set foot in a college game. Like I didn't play 1 minute.
You played spring, that counts.
Hey?
You played spring?
Bro, spring don't count. I'm talking about NCAA like competitive games. Never played. I never got on the field. Like, but it was probably down to a bit of my fault. Actually, it was a lot of my fault. I was the only person that was in control of it. Like, and it was just things I could have done differently, bro. But, you know, at the end of the day, you look back at it now and it is what it is. Like, you can't change what's happened then. Like, I can't really dwell on it. But at the time, bro, I hated being there because I was there for one reason only. And that, like, playing football was the biggest thing and I wasn't doing it.
And so during this time, you were just taking classes then? What were you majoring in? I forgot to ask.
So I went over there. Funny thing is that when they asked you to pick a course, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I didn't know anything about college and anything. I was like, I'll just pick something because I'm not going to do it anyway. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. But I picked economics and I got there my first, like, semester. Was it semesters?
It was quarter system.
Quarters. Okay. Yeah, my first quarter was all like nothing to do with my major. Like it was just all English and maths. And I'm like, I already did this in high school. Like, why am I doing this again? Like, I didn't understand. And that's why it's like, oh yeah, your first 2 years is all general education subjects. So then you can decide what you want to do. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like,
yeah.
Like, why can't I start doing my, like, economic stuff, my business stuff, like, look into that side of things? But it was just all, like bro, it was the strangest things. Like, I'm taking science. I'm walking up to the San Andreas Fault on a Thursday afternoon in a science class when I'm majoring in economics. Like, it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. Gabe, wouldn't you say that's people's argument for trade schools versus universities?
I think that's exactly their argument. Yeah, they're saying, why would you waste your time learning random information for the career that you don't want to go into when you're not going to be using any of that information? You know, you're not going to need it, so why learn it, right? So it does make perfect sense. But at least it was maybe easy for you, like, because you said like stuff you learned in high school, right? So I'm sure those classes weren't like too demanding or too difficult.
I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing. Like my first year, it was some of the easiest stuff that I've done in my entire life. Like, school system in the US is like, obviously I didn't get into the back end of it. I didn't get into the last year of my stuff, but like I did the first 2.5 years and it wasn't really too difficult. There wasn't a class that I really struggled with. I've come back here to Australia and I'm taking all these classes and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Like it seems like, I don't know if it's like, I think in the US education system, they help you a lot more. Like they sort of guide you through it rather than here. They sort of give it to you and say, just get it done. So I don't know if that's like a difference between the US education system and the Australian system. It's just the US system seemed a lot easier for me to finish school because I've never been one to like school, but I found school very, very easy over there.
That's interesting. It's interesting because all the international kids or all the foreigners that I've met or I've come across are usually really good at school. Like they're like, it's easy, and the way they talk about it, like, bro, this is nothing compared to like school back at home. And it always just kind of boggled my mind. I'm like, what's the difference? Like, is it teaching style? Is it the stuff they learn over there? Like, I never understood that.
I think it's more of the way the US, everything's given to you, man. Like, they give you study guides. They give you all the work in front of you. They give you everything that's going to be in an exam. And you obviously take the 1 or 2 exams, but everything's in front of you. I took 3 exams last year when I finished my trimester. I had no study guide. Like, there was nothing. Everything's just there for you, and you got to pretty much do it all yourself. And there's going to be like a list of points on how to get the best grade, and that's it.
Dude, I hated those classes. That was real, man. If I didn't have a study guide to study for that midterm or that final, I was pissed. I was like, this teacher hates us. Like, this is not fair. So that was normal for you growing up. God damn.
Yeah, that's pretty much normal. There's sort of like there's more like requirements on how to get the best grade, not like information on how to get the best grade.
It's like a little cheat sheet almost.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's interesting because I've had professors that are like this is your textbook, you have to read this chapter, and you almost have to teach yourself, and then you show up and you guys kind of work through the problems together. But then I've had like other professors that kind of walk you through it, and it's like they just engrave it in your head, like this is the concept, you need to understand it, this is what's going to be on the test, so when the test comes around, like you know exactly what you're getting. And I don't know
how many times did you really read the textbook part though? Is he like, let's be real, how many times have you actually read a textbook?
If we're being honest, hey, like up
you're
until
on the air, Izzy. You gotta be honest.
Yeah, hey, I don't think I've ever lied to you guys ever. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I've ever lied to Blake. I know I haven't ever lied to Gabe, but
yeah, right.
But my point is that obviously when you the way you're talking about San Bernardino or the situation, like if I were to go back, I would do this differently. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of have those thoughts when you're alone and you're kind of self-reflecting on what you could do to improve as a person. I had that from when I went to San Bernardino. I took a year off. I was working. And then when I came back to Sonoma, I had a year to think about what I want to do differently because I want to finish school. I want to do it right. You know what I'm saying? So like when I came back to Sonoma, I was reading the textbooks. I was reading each chapter a week in advance. And when I show up, like you say, they kind of give it to you, you teach yourself. That was kind of what it felt like because I would read the chapter, I would read ahead, I would read the syllabus and see what I needed to do by that time, get it done. And I show up and it's literally the teacher doing PowerPoint slides of what I just read the other night. And I'm just like, dude, if I were to do this, like, bro, if I were to have done that my entire school career, dude, life would have been easy. I've been on the dean's list since. So it's like,
that's
it's
sort
literally
of why they tell you to read the chapter before you go to the class, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I never did it. That's insane. That's advice to anyone going into school, bro. Read ahead. It makes life way easier. It just seems like it's almost like, because before that, let's just say I don't read the textbook. I just show up to class. I'm learning the revised notes of what I was supposed to read in depth a few nights ago. You know what I'm saying? And so when you show up and you're only getting the cliff notes as opposed to reading the whole book, it's really, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know until it's too late. You know what I'm saying?
It's just like boom. Bro, every professor is going to be clapping at you right now, bro, because that's what they've been telling you for the past 3 years of your school.
It's not until too late, bro. It's not till I'm on academic probation that I start having these thoughts. Like, man, I'm a changed man.
Bro, that's so accurate though, literally, because there's so many times where there's so many times you can go through a class without having to read the textbook. And I think I surrounded myself with people also who thought similarly, who thought were like-minded like myself, like that. And we're just like, dude, no, you can just show up to class. You're going to go over it on the PowerPoint, and then they literally line it up to what you need to know for the test or for the midterm. And so I was like, okay, cool, I don't have to. And then you're put in that class where you can't do that and you actually have to read the book, and you're like, oh crap, like I'm not prepared for this. So it is a good lesson. Like definitely read the book if you have the time.
Yeah. It's tough. So, okay, so you said you're majoring in economics. While you were at San Bernardino, you said you took a little bit of those classes. What was that like? Like when you were there, so you select your major, you declare your major. What are you starting to think about life after college? Because obviously that time there isn't your favorite. It's not the best. It's not the way you expected it to be. So when you're kind of looking ahead and you're planning on, okay, what's next for me? Like what's going through your head when you're at San Bernardino?
First thing I did is change my major, bro. I didn't want to be majoring in economics. Okay. That's for sure. So I switched it up to like a business marketing, like a concentration in sports and entertainment marketing, business side of things. So that was the stuff but then obviously sports and entertainment marketing, they don't really have that here in Australia. So I sort of changed it. I didn't want to narrow myself down. So I just changed it in Bachelor of Business and then marketing. So I sort of kept my options a little bit more open. And that didn't really, most of the classes are pretty much the same. Like economics and business, you probably do like a few of the same things. It's just concentration that changes a little bit. So I didn't really get into that though in the US. I was already gone by then, bro.
But did you take a little bit of those classes? Like, did you dabble a little bit in marketing? I want to know like what you think about that because I'm the same major.
I didn't dive into it in the US. Like I didn't get to it because my first 2 years, were all GEs.
Yeah.
And then the first 6 months I took all business stuff. I didn't get into the sort of marketing side of things. I got into the business side of stuff, but all the policies, like I took business law, and like in business law in the States is completely different to here in Australia. So like there's completely different things. So I sort of what I learned there sort of went out the window completely because then I have to retake it here.
Yeah. Different laws, different policies. I feel that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I forgot you were so young when you were there, bro. I forgot you were a freshman when I met you.
I
That's
was
insane.
a freshman, yeah. I was a 22-year-old freshman.
That's hella funny, bro. Like the oldest one in all your classes, probably.
Yeah, that's it, bro.
So why didn't you finish out at San Bern? Why did you decide to leave?
Well, probably, bro, lots of reasons. Like, obviously, money became a big thing. I was paying $18,000 a quarter to be there, like
quarter?
USD. Yeah.
Holy cow!
Jesus.
No, maybe it was 18. That was 18 a year, probably about $8,000 a quarter. So it was something ridiculous, bro. It was something disgusting. But then obviously you get the call in from the coach and say that they've obviously got some freshmen coming in that are going to be better than you and they can do a better job. So you can stay if you want to, but you're not going to play. And it's like, well, why would I stay, kind of thing. And without playing like a game, it's a bit hard to try and transfer it to a different school, because I've obviously, like, I still had like 3 years on my clock. Like, I had 1 year red shirt and then played obviously one season that counted. I still had 3 years to play, but obviously it was too difficult to stay there. So I just decided to move back home. It was probably a good decision.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. And now, how long have you been back in Australia for?
This September 2019, I came back. So year and a half. Is that about right? I can't do it, bro. Yeah.
I think so. A year. let's just say a year and a half.
I think came back in September. So I packed up everything with Claire, my partner, and then she moved over here just 3 months after, in December.
Nice, man. What I was going to say is, I know you said the first year was a little bit hard because you weren't playing soccer and you were just kind of had to do the whole academics things. So once you start playing with the team and you're included, like, did you see your mood change? Do you feel like included now? Do you feel like you belong here and that you want to stay here? How does that change?
Yeah, bro, 100%. The team environment was one of the best environments I've ever been in. You've got 33 like-minded people, like, that all want to play football. They're all interested in sport. Like, it was more of a family than anything else. Like, there wasn't one person I didn't really get along with. Like, I loved everyone there. Like, I still talk to some people that are obviously still there or have just left. But yeah, the environment's nothing like you sort of get over here. You're with them 5 days a week. Like, you train with them sometimes 2 days a week. You see them all the time. It's sort of like, yeah, that love-hate relationship sometimes because you're family. Sometimes you absolutely hate everyone, but you still love them no matter what. So that's sort of, like, obviously my mood lifted up quite a bit. Like, it's still disappointing not to play, but at least you've got a lot of guys around there, because, like, at the end of the day, only 11 people play anyway. So you got that family, you got that support around you. But yeah, bro, like, I loved it. I loved being there. Like, if I could have stayed there for free and didn't have to pay anything, bro, I would have stayed. But
wouldn't that be nice?
It's an expensive. Yeah, I wish it could have happened that way, but it didn't. So
I feel that.
Yeah. It was good.
Do you ever see yourself coming back to the States, like, in the future? Or do you think your life for the rest?
I'd love to, but
yeah,
I would love to come back, bro. But flights right now are $22,000 one way, so there's no way I'm flying back to the States. Obviously, during what we're going through at the moment. But yeah, no, obviously Claire's from California, so, like, I met her when I was at college, so her family's there. So definitely want to go back, but it's just trying to get back is the difficult thing at the moment. And obviously you work full time now, like, you're still trying to study. It's trying to get that time away from things to go back.
And so now you're finishing your education back in Australia?
Yeah. So I'm full time online. So here it's a little bit different. Like, you can study at a university on the other side of Australia and just do it all online. So I'm studying, like, probably my university is probably the same distance as San Bernardino from you guys. So it's about 6 hours drive, but everything's done online, like, via correspondence. So I think I've got probably graduate this year. Like, if I actually do it, like, actually sit down and get everything done, I should be able to get it done by this year. But it was just trying to get my units across, man. Like, half the units they looked at, like, I'm not getting credits for volcanic studies, because even though I took it was at CSUSB, like, it was just trying to get the units, because here you don't have to do any of those, like, English and maths, all that kind of stuff. Like, my marketing degree, I could probably get it done in like 2.5 years here. So like a lot of the people that I graduated high school with have already graduated. Like they graduated at like 21 and they've been in their career for like 3-4 years now. So it's a different process.
Damn, that's crazy. I didn't know it worked like that over there. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that just makes more sense though to, focus on that career path that you want to do and then you'll get it done much sooner.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, bro.
So it's still marketing, right?
Still marketing, yeah. So I'm still doing a Bachelor of Business in Marketing, yeah.
So, okay, so those things that you're learning in marketing, are you applying any of it to what you're doing now?
Bro, I'm...
Or how do you feel about
Yes.
marketing? That's what I wanted to ask earlier. Like, how do you feel about that? Because I've talked to people, literally one of our buddies, Matt, or actually Gabe's cousin, like over the Thanksgiving break, we were having a conversation. He told me like that he majored in marketing and he didn't really get anything out of it. And it's something that we've talked to multiple people about before, or when we talk about those people that, let's say they go to a trade school or they go to nursing or they know exactly what they want to do, that career path or that learning process is so specific that once they're done, they have like a guaranteed job in that field. And marketing isn't really like that. It's so broad. And that's like...
It is, yeah.
It's like what I like about it and what I... excuse me. What I don't like about it. It's like, what I like is that there's so many options and so many directions, and it's just kind of up to you to figure out what you want to do. But if I don't know what I want to do after, like I'm kind of stuck nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I do? Where do I go? What job is best for this? So like it's like two sides to it. And that person I was speaking to was kind of on that side of more, I didn't really get anything out of it. Didn't really learn much, nothing that I could apply to a career. I just want to know where your head's at with that.
Bro, my head's at the exact sort of the same position like that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this degree. I don't know what it can lead me, like what it can lead me into. But I mean, I work at Nike at the moment. I'm a very sales oriented person. So like business, sales, marketing sort of all goes together. Like sales and marketing are sort of hand in hand. So if you can sort of understand that, then I've obviously got an interest in sales. Therefore, I can sort of learn like my marketing side of things to help me either go into a sales kind of job, or I can push more towards the marketing side, because marketing doesn't look at like the advertising aspect of things, looks more like the people side of things. And like what can you do to sort of like, one of the courses I took last like trimester was all about how going into a store can influence people and like consumer behavior and all that kind of stuff. So that stuff's always interested me. Like how can you get someone to buy something without actually telling them to buy it? And like those kinds of things is what I'm interested in, because it goes, as I said, goes hands in hand with like selling. So what if, I don't know what I want to do, bro. Like if I finish the end of this year, I'm still probably going to be hopefully not working at Nike anymore, like trying to get into my field. But like it's difficult at the moment, man.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to get into it later, but that whole clothing line, and it's almost like even though it's a legitimate business and you make money off it, it's think of it as like a project. And wherever you apply or whatever you want to do after you graduate, because I know that it's hard, you can't really apply anywhere right now without that degree. And a lot of jobs or careers that you want to take up or try to apply to, they won't even consider you if you don't have that. But if you do have what you have experience, like with that project, with your clothing line, like that's something that a lot of people don't have. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
I'm sure anybody that's interviewing you is going to be super interested in that and your process and how you went about it and how you started it and how you managed it and how you marketed it and everything. So that's definitely a step in the right direction, and that's something that me and Gabe were trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Trying to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah.
That's sick.
We should get into it. How did you come about that whole process of creating a clothing line and starting that off? Like, where does the idea come from? When do you decide I'm going to get done and I'm going to start doing it? Where did that come from?
It happened when I was in the US, man. Like I think I was in some class that was just boring as, man, like just sitting there, and I'm like, I struggled because I'm a big guy. Like clothes didn't fit me as well as I wanted them to fit me. Like, and some of the designs I just sort of wanted to make my own shirts. Like it'd be cool if I could put my logo on a shirt and if people were interested in it. Otherwise I'd just wear it. Like it didn't really bother me. I just make my own shirts kind of thing. So I sort of started looking at ideas on how do I get, like, what do I name it? Like what's something different? How do I build a brand and like get people interested in it. And like one of the things I used to say over there all the time was Eets. Like, yeah, it's Eets. Like, and Izzy can vouch for that.
I was like, what the hell is that,
bro? Yeah. Can you explain to someone? Because I have no idea what Eets is.
Hey, Blake, let me try to use it in a sentence and let me know if I got it right or wrong, okay? So let's say Gabe is like, hey, Izzy, what are you doing later? I'm like, dude, I'm doing nothing, just chilling at the pad, you know what I'm saying? Just finished up some schoolwork, we're hanging out. Like, hey, let's go get lunch. Eets, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. pretty much. You pretty much
it's
nailed
hella weird,
there,
dog. It's hella weird. Eets, bro.
It's so it came from like because the pig Latin version is Eetswa, which is like it's sweet. It pretty much means sweet. But instead of the Eetswa, I just took the Eets because I used to say Eets all the time about everything. When he used to ask me, Izzy used to ask me anything, I just respond with that. And he's like, "What the hell does that mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense."
So would you say it's slang? It's like Australian slang.
Yeah, it's slang for sweet. Like it's just saying like sweet as, pretty much like all right, sweet. So that's what I decided to call it. And like, yeah, I tried to. The thing is, you got to try and make it mean something different. So like, I took Eets and I have like the evolve through society as my slogan. Like, because I was always I was in a different situation, obviously being in the US, and like I always wanted to try and evolve and like always be better, always do something different. And like evolve through society came from that no matter what's around you, no matter what like situation you're in, you can always evolve through it and you don't have to be stuck in that same situation. So that's why I've got Eets and I've got the evolve through society as a sort of slogan, or like Nike's just do it kind of thing. Just because it's like you can always grow and there's always room for growth. So sweet and evolve through society, bro. Like that's pretty much all it is.
Dude, that's Blake. That's a 30-second elevator speech, man.
That is.
That was it.
That was good.
That was really good.
I'm about to order 5 shirts right now, man.
Dude, hell yeah, bro. I was gonna wear my Eets hoodie, but it was I was washing it, dude. It was in the dryer.
Bro. I know you wear it all the time. Don't worry about it. So good. The quality.
I love
is good,
that thing.
Yeah.
I love it, bro. Love it. Anyone's listening to this and wants a quality hoodie, bro, go for the Eets hoodie. All your shirts, all your hoodies, bro. It's nice. The fabric, I will say on the t-shirt, super thick. It's like a nice heavy cotton shirt, like cotton poly blend, bro. And then the hoodie, I swear I'm not even blowing smoke up Blake's ass. It's the most comfortable hoodie I've ever worn. Besides this one, you know what I'm saying? Other than this hoodie right here, it's one of the most comfortable ones. Besides this one, top 2. It's definitely in my top 2. I'll say that. It's definitely my top 2 most comfortable hoodies.
Okay. So you get the idea. You get the name. Evolve through society. Okay, and then where do you go from there?
It's sort of like, how do I get in the US, man? Like I was probably running an illegal business. Like I was making money. I shouldn't have probably it wasn't registered. I was probably doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing. But like as a college student, bro, you look for ways to make money. Like how do I pay my rent? How do I eat? Like all that kind of stuff. So what I did was I Googled like blank shirts. I was like, how do I get blank shirts that I can then print on and then find like myself a printer? So I use like Jiffy shirts. Which I told Izzy about the other day. And then, so shirts were like $3. And I ordered like 6 different types of shirts to see what kind of quality like I wanted to use. And then I just found a local printing shop that was down, I think it was in Colton, San Bernardino. And I used them and I made shirts like $5 each. And I packaged them myself. I put them in their own wrapping. I'd get stickers made and then I'd hit up the boys. I'd be like, hey, who wants some shirts? So it was good that I had like 33 people around me, bro, that would support me. They'd buy stuff off me if they liked it. If they didn't like it, they wouldn't buy it. And that never really sort of bothered me because like I was always from the start, I wanted to make stuff that I'd wear. So yeah, it was just pretty much it's trying to find the right materials, especially in the US. It's quite expensive to manufacture. Like you couldn't manufacture your own stuff in the US. So obviously I'd buy the blanks and then print it myself, but I wanted to take it that next step further of how do I make my own, like how do I design my own shirts with my own blend of cotton or polyester, or how do I design them to make them fit a bigger person, like make them wider, make them shorter, that kind of stuff. But that didn't happen until I moved to Australia, bro, and I sort of found a different path for it and all that kind of stuff. So
what is that? What does that look like?
It's obviously everything, all my stuff's manufactured in Bangladesh now. So I found my supplier he's got his own factory and everything's done through them. So I send all my like my specifications off to him. He designs it. He sends me back like photos, quality, all that kind of stuff, and then he ships them to my house, all prepackaged, all branded, everything for a lot cheaper than I could have done it before.
Does it cost less to do it that way than it did over here in the States to order the shirts and then print them? Or is it kind of just like, is that the trade-off? It's like it'll cost more, but it's a better quality product, and I'll sell it for more.
So if you look at the t-shirts that I was making, so t-shirts were I think t-shirts ended up costing about $5. So that was including printing. T-shirts were $5, but then I have to package it myself. I then have to try and brand it myself, and then I'd have to ship it out, like obviously myself. But I didn't get to choose the colors. I didn't get to choose the quality. I didn't get to, like, I had to order it myself. Like I had to try and pick it from a third-party website and try and see if it matches my idea and what I wanted to do, which I just was never able to find what I wanted online. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't able to find the quality of t-shirt that I wanted to make online. So then making your own, it is a little bit more, but like it cost me $12 Australian a t-shirt to make it, which is like probably $8.50 US is my guess. I think. I'm not sure what the conversion is at the moment, but it's a little bit more expensive, but it all comes done and it comes the way that I want it to come. So,
and when you start, sorry, Gabe, what?
You can go for it.
I was gonna say when you start, whether it's over here ordering the shirt, look at that subtle flex. Let me see that Eets. Let me see that Eets.
No, yeah. So
Eets, bruv.
The university team, bro.
Dude, it's nice. I was gonna say when you start and you're buying it and then you send it off to get printed, or the way you do it now. How do you mark up your prices? How do you decide what you want to sell it for versus other people selling it? Let's just say like buying t-shirts at a PacSun. Like how do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously that consumer behavior comes into question when you're trying to sell somebody a product. It's like, well, I can get
you gotta
shirt
think about it, bro. If you walk into a PacSun, they're all known brands, right? So you'd see a design you like, you know it's a known brand, you'll buy it because it's a known brand. And you can then justify paying the $40 price tag. If you looked on my website and you saw a t-shirt for $40 from a no-name brand and you had no idea who they are, you don't know if the quality is any good, you don't know if it's going to be what you want, and their price tag's $40, you wouldn't pay for it, would you? Like you just wouldn't. You'd look over and be like, oh, Nike or Eets. I'd probably take the Nike $40 t-shirt. So it sort of comes back to you want to make it affordable for people who don't know who you are, that if they are interested in what you're making, they're happy to drop that $25 because at the end of the day, it could be only $25. Maybe $25 is a lot for some people, but for people like myself, or if I was to buy a t-shirt for $25, I'd buy it. I'd support the brand if I like the design, if I like the color, like all that kind of stuff. I'd do it anyway. So if I'm making t-shirts for obviously $14 Australian, I sell them for 25. Like there's obviously that 100% markup, like it's double, but I make money. I pretty much make back what I invest on it plus a little bit more. Like that's how I justify it, because good hoodies, like hoodies are the hard thing. Hoodies are expensive to make. Like my hoodies cost me about $26, $27 to make, and I sell them for $45. But if you walk into a Nike, you walk into a PacSun, bro, the hoodies are like $110, and people pay that just because of the brand name. Like if I got my brand up to that level, then I could obviously charge more, but it's pretty much based on your brand.
I think it's so fascinating because you talked about earlier the whole consumer behavior and that, like looking at, or just think, bro, if a hoodie or like you used to have like a really nice Nike fleece jacket, like a dark blue one. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like a really expensive one. And just think, like if that sells retail for $150 and Gabe sees it on Amazon for $110, it has that deduction, the discount. Gabe's gonna be like, dude, this is a really good deal.
I'm
It's
gonna
still
buy
a
three.
$110 jacket. Like
It is.
you know what I'm saying? Just because you see that it's $40 cheaper, you're like, man, that just a light bulb goes off in your head. Just like that whole psychology of selling is fascinating, and I'm also a sucker for it. Me and Gabe are suckers for that.
I just did this the other day, so I'm gonna tell you guys a story. I just fell for this too. I was going through Facebook, and then I know like now they come like little ads in between, like everybody's posting and whatnot. And one of the ads that were coming up was for Nordstrom, and they had like a bunch of stuff. And then based on your search results and stuff that you're looking at, obviously they give you the stuff that you've been searching for, or similar items, you know. And so I saw a set of Ray-Ban sunglasses. I keep in mind, I already have 3 pairs of sunglasses. I have 3. I don't need any more, right? And I was like, saw it and it was like, oh, 40% off. I was like, what? Okay, I'm gonna click on it. I clicked on it. It saw it was like from 160 down to, right under $100 or something. And I was like, wow, this is a great deal. Like, I should probably take up on this opportunity and buy it. So I went ahead, I put it in my cart and I like sat there for a second. I'm just like, am I really gonna do this? I'm really gonna do this? And I was like, whatever, it's fine. It's Ray-Ban. It's a great brand. It has the brand name there, and I'm getting 40% off. Like, I'm gonna do it, and I ended up buying them, and I'm getting them this Saturday. And then after I bought them, I was like, having buyer's remorse. So I was like, why did I do that? Like, I already have so many sunglasses. But hey, there you go. It works. The marketing worked for me.
You just feel disgusting after. You're like, what am I doing with myself?
And then I'm gonna feel great. I'm like, yes, this was a great purchase.
It's always that 1 week, the shipping process, bro, where you're like, oh, I really need it, and then it comes in like, yeah, that was a good decision.
That's crazy that you were doing this all by yourself. Like, right? Is that the case? Were you doing all this by yourself, or do you have somebody helping you out?
So I had a business, like I still have a business partner, like me and Christian Vega. He went in 50% with me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was only, bro, it cost me $300 to start this.
What are the expenses? What do you pay?
T-shirts. That was it.
Oh, just material?
So you just bought a bunch in bulk?
Okay.
Yeah. So I did about 100 tees, or like split over. I probably did about 150 tees when I was in America. I didn't do any hoodies when I was in the States. I did my hoodies once I got here. But yeah, so it was about $300 startup cost, and we split that. But I pretty much did everything. Like he didn't do much of the other work. He was just sort of like the investor side of things. But it's sort of, I've taken over all the payments. Like I pay for all the website and everything now. Like I pay for all that kind of stuff. But he's still there. Like he still was at the start of it. He was still at the heart of it. Like I'm not trying to kick him off it or anything, but I pretty much do everything.
Is he still involved with it?
Not really. No. He doesn't really. He never really did any of the designs and that kind of stuff. Like I used to bounce ideas off him a lot. Like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Like, would this work? Because we're very like-minded. Like he's got his degree in economics. So he's always very smart. He always saw things sometimes the way as I didn't see it, which is always good to have there as a business partner, because they're always good to talk to people, like to talk with, to bounce ideas off, to sort of see, hey, this color worked, that design. Like, what are you thinking as someone that's not me? Like, because I design everything. My first shirt, that black shirt that I designed, was designed on Microsoft Word because I couldn't afford Photoshop.
Yeah,
so I did it on Word. Yeah.
Dude, me and Gabe were just talking about that earlier, that this fool is using like one of those free customize your shirts websites, and he's like, dude, it's so frustrating because they don't have like the fonts that you want and stuff. Like,
Yeah, and I was watching like a YouTube video on it too, because at first he had sent me some ideas that we were thinking about for T-shirts and for crew necks, and I'm like, oh cool, like I'm gonna kind of come up with something myself, because I had an idea in mind. And so I went, and at first I just typed in a website, and there's like tons and tons of different websites, but I found very quickly that as soon as like you try to build something, it's super difficult to just like get your idea on there. So I was getting super frustrated, and then I was like looking on YouTube, like, how do I do this easier? And there's a bunch of like, oh, use Photoshop, and here's like a 15-minute video on all the things you need to know about it. And then I like started watching it, and I was like, dude, I'm lost. Like 3 minutes in, I'm like, this is way too much information. Like there's so many buttons you can click. Like, so honestly, props to you and anybody who starts like a business like this. It's a lot of work, and for you to be doing the majority of this alone, like that just speaks to how dedicated and like you are to your company and to this brand.
It's hard because it's such a saturated market, bro. Like you think about, oh, I'm going to do something different, but someone's already done it. Like it's all been, T-shirt designs aren't original. My biggest issue is that I don't have like most of the big brands that do really well, like the new upcoming, they always have like a podcast. They produce content and then they sell their stuff on the side, so that they get the engagement from other areas, like having a podcast, telling a story, having a vlog, and then they sell their merch off the other side. I don't do that. And that's something that I was sort of looking into, but I don't have the time to do it. Like I'm still trying to do so many different other things that it becomes a lot more difficult to try and just sell T-shirts, because everyone's trying to just sell T-shirts, and unless you've got that original, like the original idea, or something different, like a better quality or something a little bit different, then it's it's very difficult to try and hit the targets that you want to hit and try and sell heaps and heaps that it makes you a full-time job.
Yeah, I agree. That is very interesting, because that's another thing that like we mentioned earlier, that's kind of like a little of the space that we're kind of trying to step into, and that's why we thought it was important to have this conversation with you, because we kind of want to pick your brain about it and see the challenges and the successes that you do have. But I will admit that having an already, like, I wouldn't say a big audience, but like a bigger audience does help. It's going to help us because we do have
you have
that
a platform,
engagement.
bro. You have a platform, you talk about it, you've got like your content's good. Everything you guys do is fantastic. Then when you start releasing merch, bro, I want to buy some. I just don't want to pay $60 shipping to Australia.
You're not gonna have to, Blake. Don't you worry about that. We got you covered.
But yeah, bro, with your platform and like, it's just, you don't want to overcomplicate things. Like, you think about it, you got to design something that that you want to wear as well. So when you start doing big different things, weird colors, all these giant designs, like, you got to imagine that, would I put that on myself, and would someone want to buy it? That's probably the biggest thing to try and do. Like, you got to look at the trends, the color trends, what winter, summer, bro. It's a process that you'll learn, you'll sort of grow into it, and you'll find your own groove. I still haven't found my groove. I still don't know, because I'm not good at graphic designs. I'm not good at graphics. I sort of just keep it simple. And sometimes simple works for some people. Sometimes people don't want something simple. So it's also very much like, it's very personal, you know. But buying a hoodie is personal. Buying a t-shirt is personal, because you're wearing that on your body and everyone's going to see you in it.
Absolutely. Yeah, clothing is huge. Clothing, everything about it. Like, everybody wears clothes. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, everybody has a preference. And I'm sure whatever you put out, whether it's a graphic tee or it's like a simple t-shirt, someone's going to like it. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a market for it. The difficulty, I think, is just... Sorry, Gabe, hold on. The difficulty is just finding or being able to market to those people with not already having a consistent platform or a following. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I see on the outside looking in for you as a difficulty, is expanding past just friends and family. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah. Which is 100% accurate. I completely agree with you, except I like to talk about how to do it and what I can use to do it, but I never sort of do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean? What would you like to do?
So people ask me, I had a conversation with one of my mates who's just started his like beer snorkel business. Like, you know what they are, right?
Is that what you were talking about the other night?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about the other day.
Like, what are you talking about?
What business? A snorkel business?
Beer snorkel, like a beer chugger?
Snorkel, like you put it. Yeah, so you put it on top and you like flip it over and you like vortex it. You know what I mean? Do you understand? No.
Vortex it?
What?
I think he's talking about like shotgunning a beer with a beer snorkel.
Yeah.
It's
Blake,
this
this is
thing.
America. Okay? There's no such thing as beer
What are those called? What are those called?
So it's this little connector that you put on top of like a bottle of beer or like a Smirnoff Ice or whatever you have over there, right? And it's got like a straw in it and allows you to down it quicker. Like, so he's got a business called the Chug Club, and I was talking to him about how he can like venture out and get it, like grow it. And all the things I was telling him, like I was saying to him, I'm like, wow, like this is really good information. Imagine if I actually put that into practice with my own business.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Like, that's good advice.
Yeah, it's like, wow, I'm so insightful. Why have I not done this with my business? So
yeah,
that's the difficult thing is I like to talk about it, but it's implementing it. That's the difficult thing for me to do.
Okay, but like, what are some examples without going too deep into it and like unleashing or kind of putting out your business model? Like, what are some examples that you would give him that you could do to yours to improve?
One of his things is he didn't have content. Like, he's got the product. The product is there for him to sell. It's an easy product to sell. It's just getting the content. It's getting the promotional insights correct. And then obviously, like I told you to do with this, promoting on Facebook, promoting on Instagram, so people can see it, so people can share it, so people can have that idea in mind when they think about it. Oh, I need a new beer snorkel. I saw it on Facebook. I'll click on this guy's thing. Because when someone sees it for the first time, like if you see something for the first time, you're not going to buy it instantaneously. If you see it the third, the fourth, the fifth, the 10th time, on the 10th time, you'll probably go, oh, cool. I actually really want that. So it's just getting people to see your product and your idea. And once they've seen it that many times, it's then ingrained in their head. When they actually want it, they go to you. which is what I don't do. I don't invest any money on like the Facebook and Instagram side of things like I should, just because I don't have any money to put into it. But that's pretty much what I should be doing. And that's how you're going to get, because social media is huge now, man. Like, it's massive. Everything you do is on social media, right?
Mm-hmm. But kind of alluding back to what you're saying, when we started, we were kind of naive in thinking, oh, this is all free. It is free. You know what I'm saying? And everything we've gotten so far is organic growth. But we were so naive in the fact that we were thinking it's not like a pay-to-play space. Pay-to-play space. Like, you still, to grow, you know what I'm saying? Like, the way the algorithms work on Facebook and stuff, like, it's not going to want to filter people from Facebook to YouTube. So we've noticed that the post that we put a YouTube link on isn't going to get as much engagement as just a picture that we post of us and the guest. We get less engagement on the YouTube because Facebook it's competing with YouTube. It wants to keep people on Facebook. And same with YouTube. That's why when you don't have like YouTube, the subscription to it, like, you can't exit out and still listen to whatever you're listening to. They want to keep you on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It's designed that way. So it's like, we were kind of dumb thinking, oh, we don't have to pay anything and we're just going to grow organically. But like I said, once you hit that family and friends mark, like, how do we reach people that don't know us? You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way to be able to reach them is to pay for it. To pay $10, $5 a week to be able to reach 2,000 people. Guaranteed you're going to reach these people. And you can hit a mark. Like, do I want people to click through to our website? Do I want people just to see our stuff? Do I want people to listen? Do I want people to go to YouTube? Like, there's so many options. But we were so dumb thinking, oh, we're just going to do all this for free. But you kind of have to start thinking, okay, well, I'm going to put money in. It's an investment. I'm going to put money into this, and I'm going to see a return on my investment. So it's like, it's tough, and you kind of learn the hard way. You know what I'm saying? Because you do hit that plateau. And once you hit that plateau, you have to get creative and kind of come up with solutions as to how you're going to break past it. You know what I'm saying? And we're in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to figure it out and try to keep growing, but it gets tough, man. And I feel like eventually we're going to have to give in and pay those $10 a week to market our stuff. But for right now, I
don't got that kind of money, Izzy. I can't be doing that.
Blake, you know what would be a good idea for you, bro? Is to collab with people. Like, I'm not saying this like collab with us, but I'm just saying, like, we support you. We buy your stuff. You know what I'm saying? We rep it. We'll shout you out whenever you want us to share your stuff, bro. Just let us know. We'll do it. But you, as the creator, you should be looking for other creators and other people that you can collab with. Send them a little goodie bag and be like, hey, man, do me a solid. Wear this on your whatever you post. To athletes that have a big following, like, you're essentially a lifestyle brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can wear that on my weekend when I'm not training or anything. I'll just throw my sweats on and a Eets shirt and I'll go to the mall. You know what I'm saying? Like, have somebody post you and tag you with it. Like, you have a huge reach and following with amongst friends. Just have, like, your friend, reach out to your friends and they'll do it for free. You know what I'm saying? But as a business mind, you should probably be looking to other creators to collaborate, because that's a huge way
100%.
to market yourself.
You gotta, influencers want money, bro. That's the thing. They just don't want your stuff. They want cash. Like, if you've got a decent following, you're not going to hand someone, like, if you hand them something free, they're not going to wear it just because you told them to. They like, people with a decent following, they want cash. That's the reason they do it. So that's one of the things that I've sort of, and it's also if they're going to like it. I'm not going to give something out for free if they're not going to like it. You know what I mean? So that's the hard thing, is trying to find that balance.
Do you have a question, Gabe?
No, it was something about, just like a comment about something. I wanted to mention, though, that I really like how simple all of your stuff is. It's really, like you said, it's a lifestyle brand, something you can wear casually anytime, anywhere, and just like you hop it on with, like you said, some sweats or some jeans or something, just chill out and vibe. Like, it's really just clean clothing and something that I personally would wear, but something that I might not have worn, 4 years ago when I was really into graphics. I really wanted some big thing that, like, said, hey, look at this shirt. And now this is kind of subtle, and so I think that's one thing, is it's going to fluctuate. People's likes are going to change over the time, and you're going to probably find that you get new people, and some people might fall out of that and whatnot. So it's always going to be constantly moving.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like, you got to look here in Australia at the moment. The big things, like, there's vintage tees. Everyone's loving the graphics. Everyone loves a giant graphic. They love the old stuff, and I personally, I don't like it. And, like, obviously, I probably should, like, take on the trends and everything, but, like, if I'm designing stuff and I'm gonna wear it, and, like, I like to keep it simple, because simple's clean is personally what I think. Like you can do simple with anything. The moment you start trying to overcomplicate things, you're narrowing down your market, because only so many people are going to wear graphic tees. Only so many people are going to wear like simple tees as well. But I mean, I think the market's probably a little bit bigger for people who want to wear simple stuff.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just
like
feel
your Coast Boys hoodie, bro. Like it's simple, it's clean, it looks good.
Oh, this hoodie?
Yeah,
You're talking about this one?
The one that you've only got two of, that you're not sharing with the rest of the world, bro. I'm a little bit.
Hey, it's just prototypes. We're just working on it. You know what I'm saying?
in the
We're
works.
just feeling it out. I gotta run in it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta stretch in it, see if it's gonna rip. I can't be selling things that they don't work. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely it's exciting, dude. I don't know how you felt. How did you feel when you first launched? Like, is it an exciting feeling? Is it nerve-wracking? Is it kind of like, because you hear that with, essentially you're an artist. You know what I'm saying? You're designing your t-shirts and you're selling them out to the public.
I wouldn't say that.
Hey, Blake, you're creating something. You created something out of nothing and you're selling it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're selling it to people that want to buy your product. So when you do that.
Bro, yeah, you're right. Like I was a little bit hard at first because everyone's judging you. Like you've worked hard on trying to get a design out there. You've worked hard trying to put something out there, and then everyone's looking at it and they go, "I don't like it," or "Oh yeah, like it's not bad, but I wouldn't buy it." And you're like, "Well, okay." So that's the difficult thing, bro. Is like it's exciting. You're like, yes, you see it come to life, and then this has happened with my most recent order. So that one of the hoodies now had the blue and the brown one, right? It's like the hoodies that I released. That brown one wasn't meant to be brown. So it was meant to come back as like a beige, like cream. But when it came in, it was brown. And I'm like, all right, okay, this color's not bad. I'm just going to roll with it. Like I'm going to adapt it. No one needs to know that it wasn't meant to be that color. This is the new color that I'm releasing. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, it's stressful, but it's exciting at the same time. Like it's hard, man. Like it's designing stuff for other people to try and like not know if they're interested in or not. Like it's a big risk. Like it's not easy, as you know.
Yeah.
You put content out every week, bro, and you don't know what people are going to think about it. And like, you just got to roll with it. And you love it at the same time as much as you hate it. Like that's pretty much it. That's the relationship I have, bro.
How do you feel about that, Gabe?
About just like making content or putting something out.
Yeah. How do you feel like putting something out that people might not like? Like, how do you cope with that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that's something we talked about earlier when we first started the podcast, even. We're like, okay, who are we going to bring on? Like, this person would do good, this person would do good. And like, oh, I don't know about him or her. Like, and we're just kind of deciding like, wait a second. Like, we want to bring on people that we want to talk to. At the end of the day, it's like we want to have a conversation with this person because we like this person and we think they have something a story to tell or something, they have something to offer to our fans, our viewers. And so regardless of what we think someone else might think about this person coming on, it's like if we want to have a conversation with this person, we're going to bring them on. And that's why I think I like what you said. It's like, I'm going to make something that I want to wear. I'm not going to make something and then not wear it. It just doesn't make sense to me, at least, to make something and not want to rep it or not want to like boast about it and brag about it. So yeah, for 100% agree. I like the mindset you have right now with that whole clothing.
Absolutely. And I kind of try to come at it with like the whole artistic and creative angle, because essentially that's what you are. You're a creator, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's clothing or music or whatever, it's art, you know, it's some type of art form. And same with us, like we're doing this podcast and like Gabe said, like sometimes we might think this episode's not going to do well numbers wise, you know, like because a lot of people don't know the person, or like you have those thoughts, you know what I'm saying? You're like, well, who can we get that people like and it's well known and this and that. But at the end of the day, I feel like that attitude of wanting to please everyone else is going to be our downfall, you know? I feel like that's where we're not going to find happiness, but just kind of having you on and picking your brain and helping me and Gabe out, like this conversation is helping us out. I feel like that's kind of the secret sauce to the success in the future, because I don't want to get to a point, and you hear artists talk about it all the time, like I wasn't happy until I started making music that I loved. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the mindset that we need to have.
My biggest thing, bro, is like you get to the point where you just got to stop caring about what people think about you. Like you do what you enjoy, you do what you love, and like everyone's got an opinion. You know that. Like you and I, when I was playing college football, not a lot of people liked me because I was a little bit loud, I was a little bit different, and I'm foreign. Like in America, I was always different. I see it in fights all the time with people because they thought that my culture was different and like the way that I handled certain things was different. They're entitled to their opinion, but I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to listen to what they have to say. Like you sort of just put it behind you and you sort of move on. And one of the biggest life lessons that I've had is I came back here, bro, and I broke my leg 3 weeks being back in. And like I was humbled and grounded a lot because what I loved, like playing football, was taken away from me completely. And that I had to do something else. And like a lot of people were like, what are you going to do now that you can't play anymore? What are you going to do now that you can't do anything like that? And you sort of just got to put it aside what people think about you and just do what you got to do. Just do what you want to do and just focus on yourself. Like that's the biggest thing that I've learned recently.
It's great advice. It's great advice. And I feel like everybody goes through that, you know what I'm saying? Like at one point or another, but it's tough, man. I think it's a skill. I think it's a skill to not necessarily care what people think, because we've talked about it before with somebody. I forget who we talked about it with, Gabe, but it's like you're kind of flirting between being an asshole and just kind of worrying about like what's in your best interest. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a never-ending battle.
I was an asshole in America.
Yeah,
everyone thought I was a massive asshole.
Well, I can say it right now. You're not an asshole, Blake.
All right, yeah.
You're just a weird guy. That's all.
You just have a lot of problems.
Do you want to just before we end? Do you have another question, Gabe? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's hard nowadays with social media, like you said, that it's everywhere. So it's like people who are gonna put their opinion out there, whether it's positive or negative, they're gonna put it out there sometimes, and it's hard to hear that and see that. But it's just like learning, all right, like this is one person out of, you know, how many other people who actually did enjoy my clothing, who did enjoy the content that we put out. Like, think about the positives and just put those people on the side. They'll fade away and just focus on continuing to grow whatever you're doing.
Yeah, bro, 100%. That's why I love you guys. You guys have such a good outlook on life. We're like sort of the same outlook on everything. Like, that's why I've always gotten along with Izzy, and like Izzy always hangs around with like-minded people. So you guys put out great content, and like just keep doing what you're doing. You'll get there. I know for a fact you will.
It's a grind. Hell yeah, Blake. Dude, we're so happy that you came on, dude. You don't understand. We needed this conversation. Like, we are, like I said, heading in that direction, and I feel like there's no better person to learn from than you. And we'll talk about it off camera, the more specifics and all the logistics and stuff. But before we end, do you know when your next drop is going to be?
I'm hoping to do a winter drop for me, which is a summer drop for you guys. So, you know, everything's flipped here. So I'm trying to do it probably over the next month. I'm trying to get some stuff out. You'll see it on my Instagram page or my website. Okay. I'm trying to lower shipping costs, so shipping is not too expensive to our US friends, because you guys don't like paying for shipping because everything's free over there. But
yeah. Hey, it's that Amazon effect, bro.
Amazon Prime, bro. That's what it is.
Dude, I swear, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. You get they're so big, and
it's an Eets Prime, bro.
Dude,
the Eets Prime is free for shipping.
Hey, that's a golden nugget right there. That's a great idea. Eets Prime. Sign up for only $5.99 a month. Eets Prime. That'd be loud.
I'm sold.
Where can people find your stuff?
So we've got my website at eatsclothing.com.au, or just on Instagram, just Eets Clothing. I think it's Eets.clothing. It's one of them.
I'll link it in the description.
Yeah, we'll link it, man. We'll link it. We'll continue to support. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you drop, we'll be the first ones to buy. We'll rep it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's good quality product, and we just want to help a friend out. You feel me?
I need to send Gabe some merch, bro. He needs something. He hasn't been repping the hoodie as much as you, bro. So I think he needs one. I'll have to send one over.
No worries,
dude. I have a great one.
When the new launch comes, I'll buy one.
When the what?
When the new launch comes, I'll go ahead and I'll buy one.
They said watch.
I'll buy one in each color.
All right, Blake. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on and talking to us.
Yeah, man,
thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Peace.